Hi everyone, welcome to week 3 of Finding the Fae, and this week is all about portals. Okay, originally, I just want to tell you real quick, originally I was going to wait and save fairy experiences for next week, but I decided I'm going to do it instead this week. I'm gonna kind of change things around because I think it fits better with this week, and I felt really called to do it that way. So what I'm thinking is on Saturday I will do a premiere video sharing my personal experiences, and then I will be in the comments of the premiere, the live chat of the premiere, and you guys can share your experiences with me and we can like get together and talk about all of them. So be on the lookout for that premiere and click the notification for the premiere when I get it set up so that you guys won't miss it. All right, so all about portals this week. It's really interesting how fairy portals come about. We have already seen so many wonderful things from people where like Rachele and Courtney have used mirrors to channel, right? And that's kind of like a portal, isn't it, of itself? We have seen talk about fairy rings of mushrooms. I went ahead and I did some contact work with the Fae to kind of see what they wanted me to tell you about fairy portals, because there's a lot out there about them. Like music can be a fairy portal. You'll hear in the folklore that people hear music, become enchanted, and then end up with the Fae, and they're kind of portaled into the Fae realm. They walk right in with the Fae without seeing a portal. They just hear the music and become enchanted, and suddenly that's what's happened to them. So there's that kind of portal that happens too. But then there's also the fairy rings, right? However, when you get into other works like I think it's Eden McCoy in her book, The Witch's Guide to Fairy Folk, she talks about some fairy paths and fairy circles that are really interesting. She talks about grass that's greener than the rest of the grass around it in a circle as being a fairy circle or portal, right? Or a path that leads you to the Fae that's a darker path of green grass in an area. And it's something that's people don't really know how that happens, but it's greener than all the rest of the area around it, which creates this like unique portal-y idea that comes with that. I have never really experienced that one. I have seen rings of mushrooms. I have seen that, and things like that. But then there's also John Kruse, who of course wrote he writes about the British fairies, and I'm going to leave a link down in the description to a article he did about what are considered fairy portals. And he talks about how lone trees can be fairy portals. Certain hills that are in certain spaces can be portals, or mounds basically, but then hills and mounds can kind of be like lumped together. So there's rock formations, there's castles in Ireland and stuff like that that people have seen the Fae at and could be seen as one of those spaces where you might travel into fairyland. And even with Selena's video, we watched that and she had natural occurring like triangle in the trees. And in the folklore, you'll hear people talk about and even in some fiction books, you'll hear about the natural, limbs of a tree being twined together, and they walk through it, and then when they come back out of it, they're no longer together. You hear real experiences on some of the channels and podcasts that I watch, which I will, at the end of this fairy experience this month, I will have a whole list in my last video of a whole bunch of different things that you guys can go look at, and like the different YouTube channels and stuff that I watched, and you can hear real fairy stories from other people. And they talk about walking through these fairy portals, and suddenly they're in this different space, and then they come back through, and it was never there to begin with, right? So what I wanted to share about that is I did contact one of the Fae, and it's not one of my guides. It's a Fae that I think was just curious, and I do have the Fae's name, but I'm not allowed to share it with you. I asked specifically if I could, but I cannot. It's a name that was given to me, so if I wanted to contact the Fae again, I could, this particular one. But anyways, I asked him or her. I don't know if it was a him or her because the voice didn't sound male or female to me. It was really strange. But at least what I was who I was talking to, and I didn't see them. It was a sense of them, and that's it. So anyways, one of the things that came out of the interaction, and I wrote it down because I did not want to forget, is they say that getting in, like finding a fairy portal, being able to, you know, find them and see them and stuff. It says the easiest way to find a fairy portal is actually get lost. But he said, the Fae said that wasn't the safest way to do it, because you'll hear even in folklore where people just lose track of where they're going and suddenly they're kind of in this different space and time, and it's a really weird experience for them. And the Fae said that's not the safest route to do it. The Fae said the safest are those you can see, because the ones who create them are protecting you by showing it to you. That way you don't accidentally fall into it. Isn't that nice, right? So there are those who try to protect you from Fae portals by showing you that that entrance exists. And they said you shouldn't enter without an actual invitation and guide, because that's a little bit not okay. But portals are often in in-between places, right? Or places where unnatural seems natural. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I have found, like fairy portal wise, in my area, and things that I have really looked at. So I do have some video where we're going to explore my area through like a little hole, a natural occurring hole in a piece of wood that I have. Any kind of natural occurring hole in rocks, wood, something like that can be seen as your ability to see the Fae or see a portal even. There are instances of cats being portal guardians, right? And specifically in the Celtic lore, there's a cat called the cat she, and it's a all black cat, a big all black cat with a white tuft in front of it that is supposed to be a fairy cat, and some say that even it's a transformative cat, that it transforms into Fae or a witch. How interesting is that? And do you know what I have on my property? I have a big black cat with a little white tuft. Believe it or not, yes. So I'll show you that. His name's OJ. And that's not, it's not like a specific type or a breed of cat. It's just a general black cat with a white tuft is considered a fairy guardian or a Fae transformative being, so to speak. But cats, man, they can see things we can't see, and they sense things we can't sense, and oftentimes they're associated with protecting us from things that we don't want near us, including in our dreams, you know. So that's, I've always thought cats and animals had that fairy portal idea with them, like they can see what that portal that might be around you, and that maybe they even steer you clear of them. I don't know. My cat just yells at me all the time, so you know, Sasha, she's the demon lord princess, you know, whatever. But anyway, so I'm also I'll be doing the tarot spread also at the end of this video for the fairy portal work. And the questions in this one are a little bit deeper, just so you know. And then the next one for next week is going to be a little bit deeper too. And then I will talk about journal prompts probably at the next video. I will do the journal prompting in the next video, okay? But if you have the free journal, digital journal, which, you know, you can find down in the description, it already has the journal prompts and all the tarot spreads with it as well. So thank you so much, Rachele, for putting that together for me, because that was just amazing. So anyways, let's go ahead and let's get into some of the stuff that I've seen out on my property, and then we'll get into my tarot reading. And then, you know what? On Saturday, we will do some experience talking. I'm so excited for that. I know that these videos are going to be a little bit shorter. Well, maybe not the experience one, but like this one, it's going to be a little bit shorter. Just because the work that we're doing now is the idea of you exploring more rather than just sitting behind something and guessing or trying to seek it out. Like, the idea of this week is exploration. So going out to explore in your world and see what you can find. So I hope to see some videos regarding that if you can find anything. And if you can't, that's absolutely okay. I mean, it's perfectly okay not to see any of the portals, and maybe one day you'll be able to. Who knows, you know? And you can even ask the Fae, hey, can I see one of your portals? And maybe they'll show them to you. I'm not going to be asking my Fae just because I don't there are areas out here that I know they have that portal-y feel, that otherworldly feel to me. So I'm not really shocked by the idea that they're kind of in plain sight without being in plain sight. And I'm very glad that I haven't ever accidentally walked into a Fae portal, because I'm not sure how I would feel about that. Have you guys ever walked into a Fae portal, and would you actually want to? I'm very curious to know. I think I'd want to. The only thing that scares me about that is the time thing. That's the only thing. So I think having a guide would probably be the best option, because they can help you. Like if you're telling them, I don't want to be gone forever, maybe they'll guide you back out before forever happens, right? Because in the folklore, when you go into Fae land, it's not the same timelines at all. You might come back and it's 3 days later, 7 years later, or 700 years later. It's kind of wild in the folklore. So yeah, let's go ahead and check out some fairy portals around my area and my tarot reading. So all right, let's do week 3 tarot reading, which is all about portals. And these questions are a little bit more intense than previous questions, and hopefully we will get some interesting answers. I've never done anything like this or asked anything like this of them with this particular tarot spread, which I'll put up on the screen here. Where am I most likely to sense the Fae within my aura? So on this one, I'm just kind of looking for where around my body area or my aura feeling area would I actually sense the Fae? You know, is it closer to my feet? Is it on my left? Is it on my right? Is it closer to my head? That kind of thing. And the rest of them are they're pretty straightforward. So I do have an oracle here. I'm not sure I'll end up using it. This is the Magical Hours Tarot, and this will be the first time I'm using it with the Fae, but I'll be right back as I'm going to undo this. Okay, let's see what they have to say. Where am I most likely to sense the Fae within my aura? Seven of Swords. Interesting. Okay, how do they appear in my natural surroundings? How do the Fae appear in my natural surroundings? Interesting. What signs or portals should I watch out for? Whew. That's quite the reading already. What should I do when I feel the Fae near? Okay. Number 5. What do I keep missing within my Fae interactions? What is it I keep missing within my Fae interactions? Okay. Set this down here. Number 6. What place holds strong Fae energy for me? What place holds strong Fae energy for me? Oh, interesting. Okay. And where do the Fae feel me the strongest? Where do the Fae feel me the strongest? Woo! Okay. Is it just me, or is there a lot of major arcana cards in here? I'm not sure how I feel about that. Okay, let's see if we can take a look at these. I'm going to move these around here. Okay. Whew, hopefully you can still see all that. These are kind of big cards. There we go. All right. So the first one is the 7 of Swords, and where am I most likely to sense the Fae within my aura? So I'm going to guess maybe in my back area going downwards, or even in my left arm, because that's the left arm carrying it, which I do feel my guide on the left side, so that's interesting. And I definitely think it's the back portion of me that I will probably sense the Fae more within my auras in my back area. So back to my, probably to my knees and the left side. So that's really interesting. So it might be the right leg and the left arm too. So, I mean, that's really interesting to kind of look at this card in that way. So the next question, how do they appear in my natural surroundings? This is the Hanged Man. And I did a like interaction with the Fae earlier, and they told me that when I'm looking for fairy portals out here on the prairie, to look for things that are natural but unnatural, and that's kind of like the Hanged Man here. It's natural for the Hanged Man to be upside down. It's a little unnatural for the Hanged Man to be pouring a cup of tea upside down. So that's interesting, right? It's a different perspective. It's seeing what's really there. And in that interaction that I had with the Fae, they were really telling me, to look for things that I don't normally see out on the prairie, and then follow that. So that's cool. Number 3, what signs or portals should I watch out for? The High Priestess. Wow. So first up, we got flowers. Flowers are a big deal out here on the prairie because there's not a lot else. Water areas and rock is what I'm going to go with this. And this is, this is the secret stuff, right? So it may not be super in my face or apparent. And so when I look for portals, I need to look for something that may seem a little bit unnatural, right? But hidden even, like not readily available to everywhere. Okay, and then the next one. What should I do when I feel the Fae near me? So that's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Queen of Swords. She really feels like somebody who is all-seeing, Like I can tell things are happening even with my eyes closed. So what should I do when I feel the Fae near? Let's take a look at the book for the Queen of Swords. Spending time with her conveys the privilege of knowledge. So if I sense the Fae near, take the time to spend time with them. I can learn from them. So if I just take the time to engage, she prefers to be engaged with her ideals and with these people who share them. So engage them in my intellectual stuff, maybe like questioning them, or I mean, not questioning them, but having a conversation with them, holding a conversation with them, holding space for a conversation with them, maybe. So that's interesting and not expected. Number 5, what do I keep missing in our interactions? The 3 of Swords. So what do I keep missing in our interactions? Wow. I feel this 3 of Swords is like not necessarily a punch in the heart, but more like in the mind. So maybe I'm focusing too much on feeling and not enough in my mental load of it. Because I do a lot by feeling, right? I've mentioned this before. I feel them, I hear them, but I don't generally engage with them in my dream sense or anything like that. So maybe I need to do a little bit more of that, and that's probably what I'm missing, I think. That's what I'm going to go with. Number 6, what place holds strong Fae energy for me? Okay, couple of things here that I noticed is the flowers coming off of her, the sunflowers. I'm often messing with flower stuff. So flowers tend to hold Fae energy for me. Cats are a part of the portal worlds. They are guardians, and they sit in the in-betweens, and they sense things that we can't sense. And there's even a cat that is considered a fairy cat. So I figure my Fae energy is also seen in animals. And then this feels very like watery as well to me. I'm not sure why I'm getting the feeling of watery stuff, but I get the feeling of maybe not watery, but fluidity. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, is in fluid places that are not set. That's interesting. All right, the last one. Where do the Fae feel me the strongest? Okay. I'm at a loss for words. Maybe in the garden when I'm outside, right? Maybe outside. That's a bird thing, and there's clouds. So I'm definitely going to say they feel me strongest when I'm outdoors, interacting with things outdoors, and maybe when it's not quite cloudy and not quite sunny. And I'm interacting with plants. So that's what I'm going to go with. This was a very interesting reading for sure. I didn't pull out my Oracle deck, but I feel like the Magical Hours Tarot really just did a good job with this reading. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Guys, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this. I have really loved everybody's videos. So you guys have a very great day.